And we're live.
Okay, welcome everybody. I want to call this meeting, the Mid-County Public Library to order. And I'd like to have Teresa call the roll, please.
Trustee Burgo. Trustee Gregg. Here. Trustee Johnson.
Here.
Trustee Young. Trustee Lazio.
Here.
Trustee Lemunion.
Present.
Trustee Pandolfi. Trustee Stepp.
Here.
Trustee Thebes. Trustee Thompson.
Here.
Trustee Wilson.
Here.
Trustee Wyckoff. Trustee Wyckoff. We have a quorum.
Would you stand with me for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Please seated. I want to give a short message on wisdom. Anybody like to have wisdom? I need a lot of wisdom. I just have to tell you that. So as I was trying to decide what I was doing to speak on, that was the word that just kept coming up, wisdom. And so I'm going to start off by reading a few few passages out of Proverbs 3, starting at 13. It says, happy, blessed, considered fortunate to be admired as a man who finds skillful and godly wisdom, but a man who gains understanding and insight, learning from God's word and life's experiences. For wisdom's profit is better than the profit of silver, and its gain is better than the profit from fine gold. And I just, every time I read that, it's like, wisdom must be pretty important, when you read those words. And in today's world, in today's climate we live in, we need a lot of wisdom to actually navigate through all the raising families and having jobs and all sorts of things. And so I looked up the definition for wisdom. I just want to talk about that just a moment. Wisdom is the ability to apply knowledge, experience, and good judgment to navigate life's complexities. That's navigating life's complexities can be really troubling sometimes. And so you have to have a lot of wisdom to be able to make those decisions day in and day out. It is often associated with insight, discernment, and ethics in decision making. Another piece of that, the quality of having experience, knowledge, and good wisdom, the quality of being wise, listen to his words of wisdom. So anybody ever say to you, you need to listen to that word of wisdom? When I was growing up, my grandpa, grandson, you need to listen to me. These words of wisdom, especially the older generation. Well, now I am the older generation, and I'm speaking that into my grandkids. And sometimes they listen, and sometimes they get that look on their face like, huh? And so I just want to encourage all of us. And the last thing, the soundness of an action or decision with regard to the application of experience, knowledge, and good judgment. That's what wisdom is. So it's applying things. So you have to walk that out. So if you'd like to pray with me for a moment. Father, we just come before you this meeting today. We ask for wisdom from heaven. Lord, we desire it. We need it. We know it's valuable in our lifetimes. And so would you pour out wisdom upon us today as we make decisions and as we navigate through our time here together, Father, and we thank you. In the Lord's name we pray. Amen. So, we have to have approval of agenda. So, need a motion for the approval of agenda.
So moved.
Thank you. Do you have a second?
Second.
Second.
Thank you. Teresa, would you take the vote, please?
Trustee Burgo. Trustee Gregg.
Yes.
Trustee Johnson.
Aye.
Trustee Young. Trustee Lazio.
Yes.
Trustee Lemunion.
Yes.
Trustee Pandolfi. Trustee Step.
Aye.
Trustee Thewas. Trustee Thompson.
Yes.
Trustee Wilson.
Yes.
Trustee Wyckoff.
Yes.
The motion carries.
Thank you.
Teresa, this is trustee Burgo. I say yes as well.
Okay, thank you.
So the approval of the consent agenda, do I have a motion for the approval of the consent agenda?
I move the approval of the consent agenda.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Susan. Teresa, would you take the vote, please?
Trustee Burgo.
Yes.
Trustee Gregg.
Yes.
Trustee Johnson.
Aye.
Trustee Young.
Aye.
Trustee Lazio.
Yes.
Trustee Lemunion.
Yes.
Pandolfi. Trustee Step.
Aye.
Trustee Thewas. Trustee Thompson.
Yes.
Trustee Wilson.
Aye.
Trustee Wyckoff.
Aye.
The motion carries.
Thank you. So I'd like to welcome our visitors today. Welcome. I've met Riley and Mallory, and there's others as well. So welcome to McKenna Public Library, and we're grateful you're here. So Mallory and Riley, you requested to speak today. And so you each have 3 minutes apiece to address the board. And so whoever wants to go first, that's fine. And that will be great.
You can speak into the mic so the others can hear you.
Okay. Okay, so good evening. My name is Mallory Jakes, and I am a lover of the library since I was a kid. I was homeschooled. I homeschool my kids, so the library is very important to us. I just want to ask if you guys are aware of the sexually explicit images in several books currently shelved in the youth section at the library. These contain images of graphic intercourse, sexual positions, images alluding to masturbation, and they're all accompanied by text describing each of these acts. They have books about puberty and boyhood as well as girlhood, but they also contain information about sex, which I don't think naturally goes along with just talking about puberty when it comes to talking about kids. One of the texts in this book says, during vaginal intercourse, a man puts his erect penis into a woman's vagina. Both of them move so that the penis rubs back and forth against the vaginal walls. Both people get even more excited when they move together. There's more about that and other types of sexual intercourse. In the book, it's perfectly normal. We have images of cartoons having sex. This is in the kids section next to things like photosynthesis, all about dinosaurs, all that stuff. It talks again about how when you put the penis in the vagina, the walls of the vagina surround the penis. There's also texts about our body parts, our genitals, which is fine, but there's an excessive amount of genitals in unnecessary positions that is just, I think, explicit. We also talk about how masturbation is perfectly normal, which I think goes along to the thought that kids are inherently sexual, which I fundamentally disagree with. It talks about how kids, teenagers, and grown-ups experience sexy feelings when they masturbate and other things along that line. We also see just a couple more sex positions for the kids. And it goes over again when a person with a female body and a person with a male body are having vaginal intercourse, how the erect penis goes inside of the vagina. Sex is a funny word, is definitely more tamed with its graphics, but it does not fail to present the fact that masturbation and touching yourself is fun, and it tells kids that they can feel sexy, which is, I think, unnecessary. In the book, Everybody book, there are links in the back of the book that lead to external resources. This is in the kids section. One of the resources that it leads to is a website called Scarlet Teen, where you can go online and you have open forum message boards and chats with strangers. The website itself claims that the audience most common on the website is ages 15 to 30 years old. I think everyone can agree that 15 and 30-year-olds have no business messaging about sex and sexual things with each other on the internet, but this book gives you access to that. When my friend wrote a letter into the library asking about a review of these books, they replied with, well, it's been checked out a lot and it's received awards, so we're going to keep it where it is. This website that this book alludes to is also receiving awards, but I think we can fundamentally agree that children and adults don't need to be talking about those things together. My request is that the books would be removed and put into the parenting section, because I don't think kids should have free access to these books. I don't want them banned. I don't want them removed entirely. I just think there should be more guidance on how the books are accessed. If you thought maybe moving them to the young adult section, they have plenty of things that they can learn about already. Pictures. This one talks about how you can stroke it, whack it, tug and squeeze it, pull on your balls. If you're not circumcised, you can put your wet finger in between the skin. And that you can put stuff in your butt as long as it has a flared end, or your hungry hiney will gobble it up. And the only way to get that out is a trip to the hospital. My concern is not ideological, it's developmental. People who support these books always talk about it in the context of being talked about with an adult or an educator, which I agree with. I would also like to note that the placement of these books appears to conflict with Missouri standards governing age-appropriate materials in children's areas of public libraries. There are books in the library that talk about safe touch at an age-appropriate level, but these books are not those books. So my questions are, what are the policies that the library uses to determine what is age-appropriate? Were you aware of the images in these books? And would these books be considered for relocation? Thank you.
Thank you, Mel. No. Well, that's, I asked Sarah about that.
Oh, we don't have questions. I'm just wondering when next second in the best things that we cannot answer. I mean, typically we do say that, but well, we've always been able to answer.
I also received an email saying that there might be questions when I'm done speaking.
I have short.
Okay.
Yeah, my question or comment is that, so I would, if you can, I just want to know the exact title of the books, if they can be maybe sent to the secretary or something.
Mhm.
So if you could, I don't know, if you take a picture of them, but send them to you, but I just want to make sure we can do that.
I can do that.
Is that okay?
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't want to be out of line, I just.
No, you're not out of line.
I'm sorry to interrupt. Whoever's speaking in the background, not at a microphone, I can't hear you.
That was me. I'm sorry. Yeah, is that Michelle? Can you hear me now?
I can.
Okay, yeah, I was asking if she could leave a photo or list of these books with Teresa so we would just know what she's talking about. That was my comment, question.
Hi, my name is Riley. I did not prepare a beautiful speech like her, but I am a mom of 5 and we do homeschool as well. And so the library is definitely very important to us. We frequent it often for books and just story time, things like that. And my oldest is only 5. I've got 5 kids, 5 and under, twin boys right here. Eventually we'll be running around in the library. And my biggest concern is, are they going to rip these books off the shelf and see those things and open up that whole window, of just a topic I'm not ready to talk about with my kids, and not in a way that is eloquent enough that I would even want to share it the way that these books have, laid it out for us. So that is a huge concern as a mom of 5, and just being at the library, knowing my kids rip books off the shelf every single time I'm here. And it is hard to keep everybody in line and, not to be ripping them off the shelves. And yeah, it's just more for me, it seems like a safety concern, and just exposing our kids to things entirely too young. I know I was exposed to things at a very young age that I wish that I was not. And my husband and I have had extensive conversation about this before I came here, and he was like, I just wish that these books didn't exist at all, which is not necessarily my viewpoint. I just do think that they need to be moved to another section that isn't so easily accessible for a 2 or 3-year-old to pull off the shelf and see. I feel like they would maybe less, notice things, but my 5-year-old would be like, what is this? And ask me questions, and, just keeping those inappropriate things away from them and allowing parents to be the people that guide them in these hard topics. I know obviously the library is an amazing resource for kids and families to learn about all sorts of different topics. And that's something that, I love about the library is being able to come and I have to spend buku bucks on books and just come and, check them out and bring them back and use them as good resources. So again, I'm sure that these books could be of value to somebody at some point, maybe not at, 10, 14, 16 even. I think they're just a little bit explicit. And just honestly, they teeter on the line of porn to me. And just having that so easily accessible to kids just feels very dangerous and wrong to me. And again, I don't think that they necessarily need to be banned, but just move to a different section would be fantastic. So.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
This is Noelle. I just wanted to tell both ladies, thank you very much for coming and speaking and sharing your insight with us.
Yeah, thank you very much. I'll echo that again. Thank you so much. We really appreciate you coming. Takes a good bit of fortitude to come and stand up there, doesn't it? And so we appreciate that, really. I just want you to know that. So thank you.
Especially standing up for children. We
Yes.
just vastly appreciate.
Yeah. All right. So I'm going to present you with an award. That's next. So I'm going to present Aaron with this 3-year. It's really nice little pin. So Aaron, all right, congratulations on being here for 3 years.
Yeah. All right, but thank you. It
Yeah.
was roughly 3 years ago today. I sent out a letter to the trustees yesterday that technically my 4th anniversary is MLK Day, right? And so, yeah, every MLK Day that comes up, I mean, it's a very special day for me personally, but also now since I've been here, I just remember that long, kind of lonely ride to Missouri, just wondering what I was about to get myself into. And was pleasantly surprised. I was remarking to someone we met with the other day that now, to me, Kansas City is more home than Cleveland is. So I'm just very thankful that you guys have welcomed me here, and I'm just honored to serve all of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Aaron. We really appreciate the way you served and really done a wonderful job. I think I speak for everyone on that measure. So thank you.
All right.
Let's give him a hand. So financial reports, calling Jeremy.
Yes, good evening. Go ahead.
Good evening.
Right. The first slide. So this is looking at, excuse me, property tax collections from July 1st through December 31st in the current fiscal year. And then the chart at the bottom is comparing the current fiscal year with the last several fiscal years. So the library has collected $18.2 million in revenue. And that same time period last year, we had collected 22.3 million. So we're about 18% under our collections last year. I've reached out to the counties, and by and large, they say that it's really a timing issue due to the senior tax credit. So the senior tax credit is a new process that just started, and their software is not able to do it, so they have to do it manually. So even though they've collected that money, they haven't finished doing that calculation on the tax credit. Thus, they haven't distributed that money. So we will receive that money in the future, but just comparing year to year, that's the reason for the significant drop in revenue. Moving on to the next slide, this is a look at cash, and thankfully our cash is doing much better. So we ended the December 31st with just over $21 million in cash and investments in the general fund, which, as you can see on this chart, puts us in a significant advantage over where we've been the last several fiscal years. So based on where our cash is today, we're projecting that we'll end the fiscal year with more cash this year than we have the last several years, which is putting us in a strong position to not have to borrow money through that lean time of the end of October to the 1st of December. Moving on to the next slide, looking just at the general fund. Obviously, the majority of our revenue comes from the property tax. So when we look at our revenue, we've collected just over $25 million, which is about 78% of what we have projected year to date. And our expenditures are just over $29 million, which are about 88% of the expenditures that we've projected year to date. So as of right now, we have an operating deficit for the year of just over $10 million. This is about $1.5 million more than we had originally projected. Again, that's primarily due to that timing issue I mentioned earlier. The next slide is the capital project fund. We do have some activity now going on there. The majority of the activity is in the capital maintenance projects. As you all know, we have a significant roofing replacement project going on at the Genealogy Center. We also have a few parking lot projects that are going on. Pretty significant one at the Antioch branch, and another one at Colburn Road. So we've generated just under $365,000 in interest year to date for the capital fund. We have expenditures of just under $850,000, so an operating deficit of the year of just over $485,000. Then I think I have one more slide looking at the health insurance fund. The fund has collected $2.8 million, pretty much right on track with what our budget was. And we have expenditures of $1.9 million so far throughout the year, a little bit less than what we had last year. So we have an operating surplus right now of $896,000. Those are all the comments I have, but I'm happy to answer any questions that you all may have.
Anybody have any questions for Jeremy? Okay, if there are no questions, I'm moving on to reports and presentations. So I want to call on Alicia Johnson, the legal aid of Western Missouri. So welcome. Come on up.
I could just say a few words first. Sherry Bridges will give a brief introduction. Sherry works in our outreach department and has been instrumental in a number of things at the library. She used to work at North Oak, and now she's here at headquarters. But she was an active participant in the hiring of our chief legal counsel, which was kind of nice. I believe Sherry is a former attorney, if that's correct. Yeah. Sherry has worked with Elisa Johnson on creating this MOU that governs our partnership with the legal aid of Western Missouri. So Sherry, I'll turn it over to you, and thank you very much for all that you've done.
There's a green light on.
There we go. We got it.
Okay.
All right. Well, thank you again for having me tonight. I'm really excited to be here and to tell you about a new initiative that the library has started in partnership with Legal Aid of Western Missouri to bring legal services to our customers. So as you all know, providing access to information, reliable, trustworthy information has always been a core mission of the library. And it is also the mission of legal aid to bring access to justice to our community. So this partnership is a natural progression of where these two missions overlap. And we're excited to start bringing this to our customers. The way that's going to look is through consultations that legal aid will be providing to our customers in our buildings. And while our customers have always had access to legal information through self-help, through our databases and books and other things, they've not had the ability to access anyone who can actually give them information on how to apply that information, which we all know is very complicated and can be difficult to sift through. And this is a great step forward for our customers to be able to actually access not just a document, but actual resource and actual help through the legal aid team. So this is just to kind of conclude that this is a nice way to, or a strong example of how we continue to innovate while staying true to our mission of being a neutral site and allowing our customers to have actionable, trusted information that can change their lives. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Alicia to talk over more of the details of this program.
Thank you, Sherry.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sherry. Thank you. And thank you also, Aaron, for your support of this project. I know this was your brainchild coming from Cleveland. They had something similar. So we are calling this new project Legal Aid in the Library. We are very, very excited about it. I think all of you know, accessing legal services for most individuals is incredibly expensive. It's really hard for people to be able to get some of the assistance that they need. Legal Aid of Western Missouri, we've got 7 offices in 40 counties. We really are a general practice nonprofit law firm. So we're designed to help low income and vulnerable individuals who would not otherwise be able to access legal services. So through this project, we'll be doing presentations through the year. We're going to kick off with something very exciting, taxes. We'll have 2 tax attorneys. We have 2 tax attorneys embedded within our program, but they'll come and answer questions about the IRS. I am so glad I'm not a tax attorney, but you know, we need them, right? We need them, and I think folks will appreciate the presentation. We also will have presentations through the year about beneficiary deeds. Most people don't understand that if you have an attorney help prepare this instrument, it is a very affordable way to be able to pass your property on after you pass away without having to go through the very expensive probate process. We'll do presentations on if you are a tenant, what are your rights and responsibilities when you're leasing property. We'll do presentations on just a variety of legal issues that we assist with. So another thing that we assist with is predatory lending. There are frequently folks that are preying on especially low-income vulnerable seniors in terms of getting access to their homes in kind of roundabout legal schemes. So we'll do a presentation on how to prevent that. Along with 12 presentations through the year, we'll also have office hours at 5 different branches through the month. So open office hours, folks can just come on in, get legal advice, ask legal questions, but we'll also have marketing materials that are up that if they can't come in during those office hours, they can either call a number or scan a QR code and reach out and get advice from one of our dedicated lawyers as well. This is not just an advice project, meaning that the attorneys working this project understand that if it is a viable and meritorious case, they do have permission to take the case all the way through. They can take a case to court. So we don't just simply limit it to advice and counsel in the office hours. So I'm here to answer any questions, but I want you all to know we're very excited. We have something similar called Justice in the Schools with the Kansas City school system, where we have an attorney embedded within the school to help families with guardianships, things like that. And so we're just excited to do this. So if you are allowed to ask questions, I am welcome to take them.
We can ask questions. Anybody have any questions?
Well, I have one. I mean, so do you know, can you list out the 5 branches that you'll be getting at if you remember, and if you don't, Sherry probably has that
She,
Yeah.
I think she does, but I think it's 3 in Jackson County, 1 in Clay and 1 in Flag. So I can't say exactly off the top of my head where they are, but I know Sherry can.
Yes, it's Grandview, South Independence, Blue Ridge, Riverside, and Excelsior Springs.
Okay, great. And we designed this partnership to be very flexible. So if we find mid-year that things maybe, we need to move from one location to the other, we'll do that. But we're very thankful for you joining us and honored that you choose to work out of the Mid-Continent Public Library. So thank you. Great things will be coming. And to the trustees, I'll say that there is reporting that will happen periodically throughout the year. So we'll get a lot of information about the types of cases that were handled in our branches, the types of classes we offered, and we'll share that with you throughout the year. So
We'll be able to provide demographic information, even though we can't give client identifying information, with the demographic information about the patrons that are coming to us. And I also want to just say, I am also appreciative for the innovative and creative way that you all look at how you provide your services to your patrons. I am a user of Mid-Continent Library, also up in Weston, and I just want you to know I very much appreciate all of you. I appreciate your library system very much. And my boys were apparently super users per share. Power users. Thank you.
yeah. All right. Thank you.
Thank
Lisa.
you.
Yeah.
Thank
all.
you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. So strategic plan update, Mr. Jim Staley. There we go.
Okay. All right, good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
All right, I think this is still on, right? Okay, I think I turned it off on the last folks, so anyway, I'm glad it's on. All right. Okay, tonight we're going to talk a little bit about the strategic planning data collection that was taking place over the fall. I think most of you participated in it, so you probably recall that. We're going to talk a little bit, we're going to review the process. We're going to look at some findings, then we're going to talk about where that goes from here. So Brian, if you can hit the next one. Okay, so a reminder with our process, we actually did, this is one of the most extensive, like basically information gathering sessions MCPL's ever done. So we went through the fall, we did 10 trustee interviews, community stakeholders, that's like community partners, along with some power users. We had 9 interviews and 1 focus group. The focus group of library supporters, the 9 interviews tended to be, funders, like programmatic partners, those kind of things. And then staff, we did 7 different focus groups and 1 interview. The 7 focus groups were clustered around different types of staff. So you have branch staff in a focus group, you might have HQ management in a focus group. The 1 interview was with Aaron because, we need to know what he's thinking heading into a process like that. And then a lot of the qualitative data comes out of all those interviews and focus groups, right? Then you get to surveys. We get a lot of quantitative data out of that. So our library users were quite responsive. We had 4,856 responses from our customers. That's great data return. Non-users, a little tougher. I mean, actually the fact that 61 people have no relationship with us whatsoever and still took the time to fill something out is maybe that's pretty good. And then library staff, 449 of our staff responded, talking about what they had to say about where we're at and where we might be. I think before we get into like what all we learned, I think one place that's really critical to think and to start thinking from is what a strong foundation of support we are beginning this process from. You see that 95% of our users are either satisfied or very satisfied. I just feel like I went this way too. Satisfied or very satisfied with the service. Same with staff. 95% say they're satisfied or very satisfied with staff. And then 97% say they're likely to recommend MCPL to their neighbors and friends. I don't know who, there's apparently 2% who aren't satisfied, but are still going to recommend us, and that's great. But all of this speaks to, there's high trust in our community for the library system. And there's a lot of community goodwill from which we can start building this plan upon. Okay, next slide. Okay, so we heard a lot, obviously, right? I mean, you just saw thousands of different pieces of communication. But what we heard kind of fit into 5 general threads. And those 5 threads are a priority on core services, people making a difference, the library as a connector in the community. And we'll get into that a little bit more, but oh, they're gone. But legal aid, the legal aid partnership couldn't have teed that up much better, actually. Critical spaces and what people want to use their library spaces for. And then the thread of financial sustainability, both concerns about it and ideas about how we might keep things in good shape. All right, so let's start with the core services priority. You know, over the last several years, almost the last decade, we've spent a lot of time getting those spaces, those library spaces, up to the point where we can provide great new library service out of it. We've also developed a few new services along the way. And what we heard here is that people are really interested in those core things that make us a library. You know, do people still use a library? Yes, they do. And what do they want to use it for? They want books. They want information. They want access to digital arena. So within this, what we heard is the physical materials are still very important. I think we've talked to you all plenty about the fact that digital continues to rise in terms of the use in our system. But physical books remain really critical to those folks who use them, and they came out as one of the most important services we still offer. So books and technology kind of become a foundation for everything, is how you might say that. Not surprisingly, early literacy programs were rated extremely highly, both among staff, community partners, and our customers. Everybody views early literacy as something that's critical, right? Okay. And then the last piece on this one is that customer service is really vital. Folks talk about what great customer service they get at Mid-Continent and how important that is to making them feel welcome in the library. Okay, can we go to the next one? Well, connecting to that is that people make the difference. Staff were consistently rated by customers as critical to their library experience. And staff feel the same way. 92% of staff said they're a very important part of their job is the service they provide. So customers see it as critical, staff see it as critical, and staff say, this is a part where we have some room in the planning, right? Staff say, yes, service is critical for us, but we need some more training. We need flexibility. We need increased capacity. That's where staff report. And those are all things we can work on as we go through. But that was all reported as a way to continue providing great. All right. Okay, this is the one we were just talking about. Libraries are connected. This is important. We didn't hear a lot of people asking for the library to take on new services, to try to fill new roles in the community. What we heard was folks saying, you already have a lot of assets that can help other institutions in the community. What a library can do is provide space and referrals to help other organizations connect with the community that we serve. They looked at school districts and nonprofits as two of the groups most critical within that. But there were a lot of other potential partners identified as well. And what they said was, what the library can do is give those organizations access to the public and give the public access to the services provided by those organizations. So this is another theme I think we may see as we go through the plan. Okay, our critical space. It's good that we've got all those beautiful library spaces now that people want to spend time because people rated the space and the opportunity to be somewhere as very important to their libraries. Their top priority, not surprisingly, spaces for reading, study, and collaboration. So those kind of traditional spaces, as well as family-friendly and children's spaces. But the other piece is this public meeting space. Now, you all, I think, probably know, or at least most of you know, that prior to the building campaign, we didn't have very many public meeting spaces. That wasn't something that existed in the majority of our libraries. Now we do, and our community stakeholders, both our customers and our community partners, rate those spaces as incredibly important. Okay, and finally, financial sustainability. There were concerns. Some of you talked about concerns. Some of our customers talked about concerns. All that data staff talked about concerns. Everybody is aware that our property tax base is under consistent pressure. And so we're going to have to be creative as we move forward in making sure that everything we do is sustainable. Sometimes that may take the place of supplemental funding of some sort. But a lot of it's going to be in how we budget, how we create long-term budgets. And one specific thing that got called out over and over was finding a sustainable balance for physical and digital collections. Both of those things are rated, and we'll talk about that more in a second, but both of those things are rated really importantly. And they can be in competition with each other. Okay, so those were kind of the areas of common agreement. Now here's three things, three tensions that kind of arose in the data. One of them is a communication gap. Customers rated the organization's communication extremely high. They felt like the communication they got from the library was fantastic. Staff rated the library's communication less high. So we've got some work to do throughout this plan and through over the next few years in making sure that we have good communication on the inside, that staff feel heard and also feel communicated to on a regular basis. Secondly, is that program staff balance. This is that idea of balancing the innovation and the new with capacity. Staff report throughout this process, staff reported feeling like they want to do more, they want to do new, but they need additional capacity to do that. And so we'll have to work through that issue as well. And then finally, this is what I was just talking about. 74% of users want an equal focus on both digital and physical. So what do you want? We want all of it. And that's not surprising. If you can get all of it, that's what you should have. But that's a challenge for the library system as we go through the next few years. All right, last. Okay, the next steps. What are we going to do with all this information? We have a good amount of data. We have this. We have our community needs assessment from a couple of years ago. We have a multitude, as you know, of library data at our disposal. We're going to start using all of that to inform drafts of priorities and goals, along with a plan framework that we intend to keep you all updated on and share with you along the way, because ultimately this is something you all are going to have to weigh in on and approve. So we will be back at some point in the very near future with some ideas and get your all's feedback on those.
There are two dates that I think that I guess we could talk about now. I mean, our plan is in April for Staff Development Day to share an abridged version of a plan with staff. And so what that would mean for us is that we would likely be coming back to you before then to kind of share our progress. And then ultimately our goal is to have finalized strategic plan before the beginning of the next budget year. So that would be July 1, right? Okay.
That's correct.
All right. So you'll be hearing us before April and then in between April and July.
All right. Any questions? All right.
All right, well, thank you, Jim.
Thank you.
Great job, Jim.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, so next up, I think we're gonna hear from Diana. She's gonna talk a little bit about
Yes.
all the wonderful donations we've received over the past year, and I'll turn it over to Diana.
Thank you. Good evening, trustees. This is Diana Ryder. For those of you online, Development Director. Thanks for the opportunity just to share a little bit with you about our fundraising and development efforts over the past calendar year. I've got a few brief slides. You can go ahead and go to the next one. So our calendar year giving for the library and the Mid-Continent Public Library Foundation totaled just over $1 million. So we do accept gifts through the foundation and gifts through the library. So we broke that out for you here. So to the foundation, we had 441 donors, and that total was $118,000. And then the gifts to MCPL, the library, which we are a tax deductible entity per the IRS code as well. We had 870 donors and we raised 900,000 through that entity. So all told together, that's a little over $1 million in support of programs and outreach books, the Forever Books, and a variety of features for the library system that our customers can enjoy. Next slide, please. So many of you heard us talk about the end of year campaign. We do two big campaigns that involve direct mail. We do one during the month of April during National Library or Library Giving Day, and we end it during National Library Week. And then in the fall, we do one in November around Giving Tuesday. So we just finished our year-end campaign, which we launched in early November, and we concluded on December 31st. So that end of year campaign, the results were the best we have had to date. So we're proud of that. So that total was a little over 83,000 that we raised in November and December. 488 people gave, and we had 149 new donors. So each year we do try very hard to, we call it donor acquisition, to get new people interested in the library and interested in supporting us. So that was a 35% revenue increase from last year. So we did try some new things. We do a variety of kind of a digital complementary campaign in addition to the direct mail. But I will say the primary kind of driver for this campaign success is that great challenge match that we get that I told Brad and Carla Hughes I was going to embarrass them tonight, but thanks to Brad and Carla Hughes, they have turned their match into just a huge amount of dollars for the library. More than once. So really grateful to them. That match makes a huge difference in our results. So we're pleased that we can let you know that we had a record-breaking year with our end of year campaign. Next slide. I'm not going to go through all of this and it's very hard to read, but I'm happy to make a copy of this for you. If you're curious to know what charitable funding supported at the library, this is just kind of a sampling. So a lot of technology. We replaced all the Wi-Fi access points at our branches. We replaced all of our microfilm readers. There's a recent grant that we got that has a little kiosk. If you go to the MGC right now, there's a exhibit on the Kansas City Opry, and there's recorded stories about that you can listen to on the kiosk. The kiosk was paid for by grant funds. We had funding for over 11,000 Forever Books for the Reading Rocket team to give away to children. And almost all of our authors were brought in with private dollars. So a very good amount. The Young Adult Reading Series at Riverside, which we bring in children's book authors, those are all paid for by private funding. And all of the entrepreneurial classes through the Culinary Kitchens and through Square One are funded through the Kaufman Foundation. So we have a lot of great community support for our programs and our technology replacement and just a variety of things. So next slide. So we do hold funds, like I said, through the library. We have an account with Central Bank for the library itself for charitable contributions. We have an account at Central Bank for the foundation funds. And then we also have some funds held at the Truman Heartland Community Foundation. But just to kind of give you an idea of where those funds live. And then I included a calendar of kind of how we raise these funds throughout the year, in case you're curious. So we do direct mail, we do major gift fundraising. We do a lot of grant proposals. We have a really high success rate, but sometimes we get no's and we just write another one. So that's always a pretty good return on investment. A few events, small events, obviously the Library Lovers Program is our membership program, and that's continuing to grow as well. We have over 200 members of library lovers now. And then we do some very few, but some peer-to-peer fundraising programs and online fundraising programs. So that just gives you a quick little snapshot of kind of our activity for the year. We put together just a little sheet at your place. Yeah, to kind of give you an idea of some additional statistics on some of the donors. Could I answer any questions that you might
I
have?
have one question, Diana, on the direct mail.
Uh-huh.
So evidently that's pretty successful. Do you have stats on how successful that direct mail is?
Yeah, I will tell you, our return rate is much higher than a standard direct mail. You'd be surprised. I mean, we send out 19,000 pieces of mail and the response rate typically is less than 1%. That's just the standard direct mail. That's how it works. And ours is over 2%. So
wow.
So we consistently see a higher return rate on direct mail than other folks do.
Okay.
Typically that's like the national average. So we're continuing to do it because it's working. And we do think that you know, a good portion of our donors are an older demographic. They prefer to write a check to the library as opposed to maybe give online.
Right.
So we do offer both of those opportunities, but I think it would be misguided for us to do away with the print direct mail piece.
I agree.
Yeah, because it has been consistently successful over a number of years.
Yeah, I personally like getting them in the mail and they're always really nice, colorful.
Yeah,
all
we did
that.
work with a new company this year too, so
Yeah,
it was
really great.
it was a nice piece. But typically the one we do in April is a little bit smaller, but the one we do in the fall is larger.
Well, it's a good reminder too.
Yeah,
For people.
sure.
Hey,
Yeah,
don't forget about it.
one of our goals is we do want people to think of the library as a
Yeah.
you know, as an entity that you know needs their charitable support in addition to tax support. So
Yeah.
Any other questions?
Thank you, Diana.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah. Great job. So, new business, well, there was no unfinished business, so we'll move on to new business. So we have a resolution. Aaron, you want to talk about that?
Sure. So the Finance Committee met last week and one of the things we talked about is an agreement with the James Harris Company for lobbying services. And we talked a little bit about the scope of work and really why it's important to hire lobbyists to serve the Mid-Continent Public Library. And as we said in the committee, the role of a lobbyist is to educate legislators and raise awareness of the library, right? There's a lot of legislation that is proposed in Jefferson City that doesn't explicitly mention libraries, but it really has an effect on our revenues. And so while we don't oppose legislation, we think it's important to make sure that every legislator is making an informed decision when it comes to voting on proposed bills. So I was introduced to James Harris and was very impressed with his track record. And so we drafted an agreement that would support us through this legislative session until the end of the year. I'm not sure if I know the exact dates off the top of my head. But James, you are here and thank you for coming in person. If you care to say anything or just give us a little background for those of us who didn't hear you on Thursday. Yeah.
Good evening. Thank you for allowing me. Hopefully everyone can hear me.
Yep.
You know, I often tell people that a lobbyist, we're kind of an information collector and relayer, whether it's what's going on in the legislature, helping you all know what's going on so you can maybe know when you need to contact a state senator, a state lawmaker, often notify you of hearings because sometimes they'll go very quickly. You know, where in your normal business, running this, nice library district, it might be a week or two and something could happen. So it's really more of your eyes and ears, helping to tell you stuff. So maybe you can contact the lawmaker when they're back home before a committee hearing, giving your perspective. There is, this year alone, I think, the Senate had pre-filed 600 something bills, which used to be, when I had less gray hair, 200 bills. In the House side, I think they're up to 800 so already. And I think Mr. Johnson from his days in both chambers probably remembers that those numbers are high. But, it's going through, reading all that stuff, tracking it, just to present you that concise information. And if something does pop up, at least we can get guidance from you. Read that lawmakers. Our firm's been around for a while. We have a lot of different companies. I live in Jefferson City. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, James.
Anybody got any questions?
Thank
All
you,
right,
James.
I think I have one. I
Yes, sir.
want to verify on the length of time. So is it through this legislative year or is it 2.5, is it a year and a half on the?
No, I think it was through the end of session after the governor acts on legislation. So it'd be
Okay,
into July
so-
range.
Well, I know I had asked you that question earlier about
Yes.
pre-filing, and so that it does bother me either way. I just want to verify what time frame we're talking about.
Yes.
And we made that change to the agreement.
Yeah, I thought I read it earlier and I thought that's what we did. So yeah, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank
All
you.
right, thank you, James. So, I'll ask for a motion to approve, resolution number 26-001. Authorizing the executive director to execute an agreement with J. Harris Company for lobbying services for the 2026 Missouri State Legislative Session. Is there any discussion?
That's a good idea. Yeah, I would think so.
Yeah, we
Yeah, we
do.
need a motion.
Yeah, can I have a motion? Sorry, thank you.
I'll move it. Well, I mean, I'll have a motion. I have a motion.
Okay,
Michelle, second.
okay, it's been moved and seconded. So.
It's
any-
resolution number for writing purposes, resolution number 26-001.
Yes. Any discussion, questions?
So, I don't know. I guess I feel like I'm not convinced that we need this service. I just want to know maybe some other people's thoughts on it. Like, I feel like maybe I don't even know, maybe not appropriate for us to do this. Does anyone else have other thoughts on this?
I would agree with that. I have a problem taking taxpayer dollars that come directly to us and use that money and I know you say it's not, you're kind of straddling a fence there saying it's educational. And this is nothing against James's service. Everything I've learned about his service, he is outstanding, as the director said. But I don't like using taxpayer dollars to influence or educate, as you put it, the legislature in making legislative decisions. We all individually have the ability to do that, as do the citizens who are paying the taxes. So I do have a problem with it and don't really see as an individual consolidated library district that it's proper for us to do, whereas I know there's the organizations that hire the lobbyists. That's a different issue in my view, because that's part of that library organization. Now, whether or not the person who they hire is doing the job they should be doing, that's something that should be addressed through that organization.
Anyone else?
So this is Susan, and I have a slightly different opinion on this. lately politics are very complicated and everybody is vying for a voice. And places like libraries can be caught in the crossfires and overlooked. And I think that there's nothing wrong with having someone to educate legislators so that they can make an informed choice and decision, because that's what a good lobbyist does. Um, and I know lobbyists have kind of a seedy reputation that seems like they're not doing something that's on the up and up, but really, um, if you've ever gone to legislative days, your whole goal is to try to educate lawmakers that may not know about your issues. So I would be in favor of hiring the firm because I think probably everybody needs it nowadays, given the current climate.
Thank you, Susan.
Mr.
Anyone
Chair.
else have a comment, question?
I have a comment. Yeah, I actually, I think it's an unfortunate period of time, but that's true. I don't, well, first let me ask, how many libraries are there in the state of Missouri? Do we know? Okay, well, and I thought, yeah, almost every county has something. So, and I see legislation introduced every year. What was that?
I was asking Leon.
Oh, well, they don't
I
know.
couldn't.
It's all right. They're uninformed. So, and there's legislative issues issued every year that's directed to, I think for the most part, as I have read them in the past, smaller libraries in some place. And I think sometimes that's, personnel issues in a small county. I don't know. I believe we're the largest library district in the state.
Yeah.
And it's, sometimes we would get in crossfires with some of the legislation that I've read in the last couple of years that's been introduced. And I think it is time for us to have a voice in at least expressing how prospective legislation may or may not impact this particular library district. We're into 3 counties of all kinds of socioeconomic levels. And we need to have a voice because I know we have a library association. They really can't take a side between one set of libraries versus another set of libraries. So we need to be in a position very independently to represent how legislation impacts us. And maybe there's something that we perceive that needs to be offered or changed in legislation or appropriations regarding libraries. And so I think it's time that we, given the cross-section of our large district, that we need to have a voice and be able to communicate statewide with members of the legislature. And I would hope that our members are talking to the legislative members that they know. But I just think because of where we are and the size, we need an independent voice to try and represent us in an independent point of view and how prospective legislation impacts us. So I think I think we have to have it at this point in time.
Thank you, Bob. Anyone else?
Yes, Mr. Chairman,
Yes, I forgot. Go ahead.
it's Marcy Gregg, for those who are watching. So I'm thinking of this in terms of when I had service on the city council and independence, we employed the services of a lobbyist as well. We also participated with city organizations that represented municipalities, Missouri Municipal League. Others counties have their own professional organizations that represent them and have lobbyists associated too. But there were times when certainly as a city, we had particular interests that we needed to lobby for, to be frank, at Jeff City. And not that those were ever in conflict with the larger organization, but the larger organization represents a very broad base of communities. And we had our own. We were the size that we needed our own individual representation. I see this similarly with the vast number of libraries across the state. I see that an organization will do its best to try to represent the needs of the group as a whole, but there's certainly times when our unique organization with 3 counties involved and so on needs an ear to the ground. If you don't know what you don't know, you're likely to get caught flat-footed on an issue and not be prepared for it. And so I think it's wise for us at this time to have our own representation for also the many reasons that the others have expressed.
Thank you, Marcy, for a welcome. Thank you.
May I ask the cost again?
Uh,
I think we would. It's in the neighborhood of 35,000. Which is in line with other agreements that I've been aware of. Just on that note, Mr. Harris referenced the number of bills that need to be reviewed. And I do have some knowledge of how much time it takes for Jeremy to respond to write fiscal notes. It's quite time consuming. And so if you were to add up the amount of time it would take staff to directly correspond with legislators, to track legislation, it would far exceed this amount here. So.
Anyone else? All right. I'm gonna ask Teresa to take the vote.
Trustee Burgo,
Yes.
trustee Gregg,
Yes.
trustee Johnson,
Aye.
trustee Young, trustee Lazio,
Yes.
trustee Lemunion,
Yes.
trustee Pandolfi,
No.
trustee Stepp,
Yes.
trustee Thebes, trustee Thompson,
No.
trustee Wilson,
Yes.
trustee Wyckoff.
Yes.
Okay, the motion carries.
All right, thank you, everyone. Motion's carried. Moving on to 10.2, resolution 26-002 ADP payroll. So I'm going to call upon Jennifer. You're on.
Good evening, everyone. This is Jennifer Ridley, for those of you who are online. I'm the HR director here at MCPL. This is going to be super exciting. We're going to talk about, you're going to get to watch me nerd out a little bit about our HRIS, our Human Resources Information System. What we're bringing to the board tonight is a resolution regarding contracting with a new vendor for our human resources and payroll system. So go ahead and move to the next slide, Ryan. First, I just want to give you a report card on how where we're at and where we saw that we needed to go. MCPL currently uses Paycor as our HRIS for job application tracking, HR records, and payroll processing. We've been on Paycor's platform since 2014. As our organization has changed, grown, our operational needs have morphed. Paycor's tools, particularly around scheduling, reporting, and applicant tracking, just no longer meet our needs. Paycor, their average size employer is just over 50 employees. And as you know, we have close to 800. And we often, run up against configuration issues just based on what they have the functions to do. So key functions like payroll, absence management, learning, compliance training, they require us to have manual workarounds or third-party tools, which increases anytime you have a manual workaround or you have data transfer, it increases the risk of error and being out of compliance, as well as administrative time. We've often needed customizations that Paycor either wanted additional fees to do, wanted us to integrate with a third-party application, or just weren't supported within their architecture, which limited, our ability to be able to tailor a system to how MCPL's workforce works currently. Their interface, mobile application, and employee self-service tools just lack the contemporary usability that is expected by staff and HR professionals. Over the years, we have experienced inconsistent support, slower response times, and limited escalation paths when we have critical payroll or HRIS issues. Paychex recently acquired Paycor, and we have seen a decline in service, as well as it appears that they are applying configuration changes, things that we've had that have worked for over a decade that are no longer working. And so it became clear that we needed to proceed with pursuing a new vendor. They also have fragmented modules, so the reporting that we pull out requires data manipulation. It doesn't do a good job of consolidating the information from the different modules into reporting that we can give to leadership to just keep on pace with, keep them updated with what's happening with our staff and how we're using those resources. Let me go ahead and go to the next slide. So what did we do this past summer? We began the process of seeking a new HRIS vendor. We began by engaging with Lockton, who's our benefits consultant, and their HRIS expertise team as subject matter experts. They were brought on board to support us and ensure that the project was guided by those with hands-on operational insight. They're in these vendors' business routinely and able to bring the vendors to the table that could meet the needs that we brought to them. I want to point out my team, your MCPL HR team, Drew Bradfield, the Associate HR Director, led our team of HR managers in gathering requirements. All of the detailed organizational needs, we defined what we wanted, the desired functionality, the integrations and the outcomes that we needed if we were going to migrate. This is a big project. We're going to migrate to a new HR and payroll system. And then Lockton worked behind the scenes to take those requirements and create a response portal for vendors to use to submit their proposals. I can't stress enough how important that was. This is a very large RFP with a lot of requirements. You can see in the side-by-side comparison in board docs, the list of all of the moving pieces that we're talking about. And often when we get RFP responses, you get everybody's jazzy idea of how to give you that information, and you have to consolidate it. This, enforced vendors to respond in a particular format so we could compare apples to apples. Once we got the requirements finalized and the response portal was ready, we issued an RFP and collected bids from qualified vendors. We received bids from 7 vendors, ADP, iSolved, Rippling, Paycor, Paycom, Paylocity, all the pays, and Monad Solutions. You can see a summary of those bids on board docs. The bids were then, we evaluated those bids based on price and needs. Some are just outside of what we want to pay for a system like this for the library. From those submissions, ADP, iSolved, and Rippling were invited to give in-person presentations that each of those vendors had a whole day to present to the HR team as well as members of the IT team, so we could look at, actually see their system capabilities, the user experience, be able to see those things hands-on, and also ask a lot of questions so we could get access to the vendor expertise in person. And then based on the evaluations from the selection team after those demos, ADP and iSolved were the top 2 finalists. We did a pretty extensive reference check for those finalists, particularly looking at folks, organizations that had recently migrated. So that's a big thing. We've got a lot of data in Paycor and a lot to migrate. So we go ahead and go to the next slide, please. So as you know, as you can tell from the resolution, we landed on ADP. This just is a slide to kind of talk about ADP versus iSolved when we were doing that final evaluation and how we got there. As we compared these 2 vendors, we did determine that they both offered us a similar increase in functionality for time tracking systems and more robust scheduling features than we currently have. There were some key areas where they differed. ADP, as part of what they quoted to us, offered their total absence management application, which can significantly improve our capacity in the leave and accommodation function of HR. The ability to integrate, currently we do all of that manually. So a lot of spreadsheet tracking, collection of paperwork, and it's a lot. And having a dashboard and HIPAA compliant system that's integrated with our HR system is going to greatly increase our capacity and our ability to take care of our staff, as well as close any compliance loopholes that can happen when you're doing that manual work. ADP also offers a compliance training library that we currently pay an outside vendor for, as well as a learning management system that we currently pay a third-party vendor for. For compliance training, learning management, and leave management, iSolve requires third-party add-ons and/or additional costs. For applicant tracking, so how we receive applications for our open positions, ADP has, and it's really what we were looking for, a profile-based applicant tracking system, which provides really just an improved applicant experience. For folks who apply to jobs at the library, we have a lot of redundant positions across the library because a lot of the same types of roles in our different buildings. A person right now who wants to maybe apply for the open roles that we have has to apply individually for each of the open roles at every location. Cannot create a profile and use that profile to apply to open position. So it's a manual process for the applicant for each one of those applications. And iSolve's applicant tracking system is job-based, which is what we currently have and what we currently struggle with. The migration and the cost, ADP's migration, initial migration fee was the lowest of all the vendors at $6,500, as well as ADP is offering us a 5-year no price increase guarantee, as well as they will help us migrate 7 years of data where all the other vendors offer 3. With as much data as we have in Paycor, 7 years is definitely something that we would need in order to have some fun. We can move to the next slide. We definitely wanted to do a vendor risk assessment. Our employees' information is important, and it's important that we keep it secure. AEP uses strong encryption, monitoring, and access controls, so they have reliable protection for their our sensitive employee data. Under regulatory and compliance, we really do rely on these systems, particularly in the payroll space. And now that we're going to be using a dashboard like this, an application like this for leave management, there's a lot of compliance deadlines in those spaces. And ADP just provides, they align their systems with whatever changing federal and state laws that we are meant to be complying with. Reliability and performance. ADP has a long history of high uptime, low downtime, very resilient infrastructure, a lot of redundancy that ensures that our payroll and HR operations will run without interruption. A big thing about ADP is that their organizational stability. They are an industry leader. They've been doing this for decades. They have strong financials, which offers us long-term reliability and low risk. And then support and responsiveness. We've struggled with needing to reconfigure things in Paycor. ADP's architecture is going to be more flexible and enable us to change if our organization changes, which you would expect that it would. We can go to the last slide. And so a summary of why we would choose ADP, the integrated ecosystem. So it's a single platform for everything that we are working on. Everything, the entire employee life cycle. So application and hiring, onboarding, keeping the HR records, whether someone needs to go on leave, all of the time tracking, scheduling, benefits administration, all of those things within one platform. The evergreen architecture, which is this ADP offers us ongoing integrations that will enable us to change if we need to. And that has often been the case, and we haven't had that flexibility to pay for. The user experience, both for staff and employees who use the system, as well as hiring managers and HR team members, it's just the usability is just highly improved. And then reliability. It's something that we've struggled with Paycor, but with decades of experience, ADP has proven to be highly dependable. But that was also backed up by the positive references that we got from people from organizations who have just recently migrated. So they have experience with the migration team. Like I said before, the side-by-side summary of the bids in response to RFP are in board docs. The estimated annual cost for ADP is around $240,000. These prices are, per employee per month. So however many active employees we have on the payroll each month is what determines, but our employee count has stayed pretty steady since, post-COVID. So that 240,000 is a pretty solid number. The implementation fee is $6,500. We have a resolution for the board to vote on tonight that would authorize Aaron to finalize a contract with ADP. But before we offer that up, does anybody have any questions for me?
I could just chime in quickly. Yeah, in Jim's presentation, we were talking about planning and being financially sustainable, right? And the subtext there is how can we become more efficient as an organization? So much of the work that Jennifer talked about tonight, not that we're doing it manually, but I think this creates efficiencies within our department, so we don't have to add additional staff to offer all the services that are provided through ADP. So even like James Harris also, it's a trade-off. You are paying money. However, what that does is free up staff time to really do more substantive work that we're here to do. So thank you. Great presentation. I think we all would agree. And just Jennifer getting applause too.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Great job, Jennifer. Thank you so much. Yes.
Jennifer, this is Noelle. You had me when you said that you did all the absence by hand on spreadsheets. Oh my gosh, it's time to move on.
Yeah, almost 150 leaves of absence last year that our leave and accommodation manager handled, and it's a lot. So
That is a lot. That's crazy. Yay. I hope you get this.
yeah, we're excited. We're hopeful.
Wow. Well, I'm gonna ask for a motion, approval of resolution 26-002 of the Board of Trustees of Mid-Continent Public Library, authorizing the executive director to execute an agreement with ADP for human resources and payroll management system.
This is Joycelyn. I second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion?
Wait, come on.
Noel?
No, I was going to second. Sorry.
All right, thank you. So any discussion? All right, Teresa, would you take the vote, please?
Trustee Burgo,
Yes.
trustee Gray,
Yes.
trustee Johnson.
Aye.
Trustee Young,
Aye.
trustee Lazio,
Yeah.
trustee Lemunion,
Yes.
trustee Pandolfi,
Aye.
trustee.
shaking? Was just shaking.
Sorry. Yes, says Steph.
That.
The discussion is closed. He
Doing
didn't hear
double
that.
duty, guys. Okay. Yes.
Trustee Davis, trustee Thompson,
Yes.
trustee Wilson,
Yes.
trustee Wyckoff,
Yes.
and the motion carries.
Motion
Thank you.
carried.
Thank you for your attention and your time.
Thank you. Jennifer.
Yeah, Jennifer, great job. I can only imagine how long it took to put all that together.
My team, I mean, I can't say enough about how
Yeah.
well they did. They make me look good.
Wow, thank you. All right, moving on to 10.3 resolution 26-003 grant acceptance. And I'm calling on Jeremy Wilmot.
Yes, on the heels of Diana's great presentation, we have two more grants to present to you tonight. As is a practice we established earlier this year, all new grants will come to you all for your approval. And then also an amendment of the budget. So that's what you see here tonight on this agenda, on this resolution, excuse me. A Jackson County grant for $110,000 and an RA Long Foundation grant of $3,000. And then the request to amend the current year grant budget by $113,000 for both of these.
Okay. I'm going to ask for a motion and approval of resolution 26-003 of the Board of Trustees of Mid-Continent Public Library, authorizing acceptance of multiple grants and community contributions totaling up to $113,000 and approving an amendment to the FY 2025 and 2026 budget.
Mr. Chairman, I move approval of resolution 26-003.
Thank you. A second.
Second.
Okay, we have a Motion and a second. Any discussion?
Were these designated donations or just general donations? Okay, so it was initiated from us.
Yeah, they were open grant, competitive grant
Okay.
programs that we submitted.
Right, okay,
applications.
thank you.
Any other discussion or questions? Okay, with that thought, we will take a vote. Teresa, please.
Trustee Burgo,
Yes.
trustee Greg,
Yes.
trustee Johnson.
Hi.
Trustee Young, trustee Lazio,
Yes.
trustee Lemunion,
Yes.
trustee Pandolfi,
Aye.
trustee Step,
Aye.
trustee Thewas, trustee Thompson,
Yes.
trustee Wilson,
Yes.
and trustee Wykoff.
Yes, sorry, couldn't unmute.
Thank you. The motion carries.
All right, the motion carries. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So I'm going to call on Aaron for the library director's report.
All right, I'll keep it brief. Before you have this MCPL monthly, and I just want to draw your attention to a couple of things. There's lots of seasonal fun in this edition, right? You see that we celebrated Christmas at a number of branches with the Grinch and Santa Claus appearing at a number of the places. Where he finds the time to do that and deliver gifts, I do not know. But that was kind of a joke for all the adults in the room, but all right. Yeah. And we did some New Year's celebrations. So one of the great things libraries do is they have like a New Year's Eve celebration for young people. So I think you'll see one profiled for the children at North Oak, but I'm aware of a number of other branches that have these wonderful parties for parents and children. Green Hills is another one that came to mind that they just did a fabulous job. So we had a lot of fun this year at the year's end. And then I want to draw attention to the Raytown branch. They celebrated their 60 years of service to the Raytown community in December. And we've had some staffing changes there. We hired a wonderful manager named Amanda Rodriguez, who's done an excellent job of engaging the student population in that community. And we're very thankful that she came on board. And by all accounts, she's enjoying her time so far here at Mid-Continent Public Library. And lastly, with all these conversations that we've had today, I just want to draw people attention to some numbers. So as of January 1, we have 322,000 active customers who are responsible for checking out 827,000 items. And that just shows the breadth of our collection. So I think on an annual basis, the Mid-Continent Public Library adds in the neighborhood of 100 to 200,000 unique titles to the collection. Yeah, if not more. So it's a tremendous volume of titles that come through. And all told, I think we're in the millions as far as our standing collection. 2 million, right. So hats off to the Collection Development Department for all the work that they do. Their work is very demanding and complex. And as I always say, when it comes to material processing, that is where the science of library science comes into play. And so we're very appreciative for the work that they do. And that concludes my report.
Any other announcements, Aaron?
Announcements, well, nothing too exciting. There's just a bunch of meetings that we have, but they're there. Many of them are tentative, but when they're confirmed, Teresa will reach out to each of you and we'll schedule those meetings on an as-needed basis. Yes, sir.
February 3rd.
Right. No, please.
Yeah, February 3rd is the Missouri Library Association's state legislative day. We go down every year, meet with other libraries, convene at the Secretary of State's office, and then go over and visit. I know you folks in this room have been before. We would all be invited to go. If you would like to go, I know Ron and Bob and Michael have all been. And so it's a full day. We leave here about 7:30 with
somebody can meet here. Bob and Karen, we do usually someone, but,
Yeah.
but yeah, so anyway, we meet here, about 7:30, you take off, we're usually home around 6:30, 7 at night. It's a full day. We have 33 legislators to meet with, so we split up and, make sure they all hear from us, so. Please let, I guess maybe Teresa know if you would like to go, and we'll get you added to the schedule and get you some communication.
I might add just to that, if I may. I went last year. It was my first time going, and it was really amazing. One of the most amazing things that I experienced was Cody.
Yeah.
He was outstanding in his presentations, and so it was one of those gifts that you never saw, but it was on display. And thank you, Cody, for listening. It was an amazing thing. And so, but the rest of the experience, just going to the legislators' offices and meeting, I have friends that are legislators there. I never even get to meet with them. And so anyway, I would encourage anybody to go if you've never been. It's really quite something. So, and you'll learn a lot about the flow of what happened in Jeff City, and it's quite something. So that's my plug to all you, everyone.
All right. What's next? Adjourn?
I think we have any trustees' comments or mentions or anything? Ron?
Just a comment, question. Fairly comments, I want to thank our visitor. I'd like to thank our visitor. I could not agree more that the particular comment belongs in at least a parenting section. So it's not easily accessible to somebody who typically be under a parent or guardian while visiting one of our libraries. Second, that's a comment. The question is this: is there anything new since we last met 2 months ago with regard to the headquarters matter?
Not really. Sarah?
The only new news is on December 15th, the City Council for City of Independence approved the letter of intent that the board approved at your December meeting, or was that November meeting? November meeting. So at this point, I am speaking with Tom Scannell, who's the Community Development Director for the City of Independence, and just kind of working out a draft agreement that'll be presented to the board and the City Council at some point. We're still working on our due diligence. We just closed our RFQs for surveying, geotechnical and environmental studies on the property. So I expect that we will probably get some results from that over the next month or so. And then make sure we're even interested, right? So we never want to build something there. And that will kind of dictate how we move forward from there.
Okay, but I think just considering the dollar magnitude of the project, as information comes in, even though it might seem a bit trivial or on the edges, I think it'd be good to have.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
Happy-
absolutely.
Yeah, happy to.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're doing a great deal of thinking about it, and we'll share information as we get it.
Timothy?
First of all, I'd like to thank the speakers that came tonight and for letting your voice be heard and sharing your opinions on that. Also had a couple of opportunities to attend. It's a little slow this season, but attended the Riverside Christmas music event, which was very enjoyable and had a little educational aspect. Went to the coffee and beignet at the Green Hills. And while I was there, Charles took me on a tour of the kitchen and saw some of the new equipment that we had voted on a couple of months ago, and very nice equipment, tilt fryer, big mixer, and food smusher. That's a technical term, the industry term. And he also showed me the stand-up refrigeration unit had not come in at the time. So it was nice to go up and see see the equipment that we voted on the grant for, and they seem very happy with it.
Yeah. Anyone else? Yes. Judy?
I do want to thank the moms that came out today and with their children. It was quite impressive, and it makes, I think, a lot of us, I guess maybe encourages us that, that the next generation is concerned,
Absolutely.
about these things, about children. And, I think that sometimes on this board, believe it or not, we can divide over, left and right issues. But when it comes to children, and things that are affecting children, I think that our hearts are a little more tied together, and that mama, papa bear, sort of comes out in all of us because we don't want to see that happening. So, I couldn't agree more, with the things that were brought up. And I think I mentioned this, I'm sure I did a few years ago, but I did this little experiment because when my daughter was young, of course, we were at the library a lot. I was a little bit grieved with the young adult section, the books and things that were available in that section. And I think, it's geared young adults, you think 13 and up, but then just being in there, I'm like, a lot of people that are in there looking at the young adult material. A lot of them, I saw a lot of 11-year-olds, even 9-year-olds, because everybody wants to grow up and, get the big kid books. And so when we say young adults, it's in that section, but really, I mean, we're talking, there's 9-year-olds, there's 11-year-olds, that go into this section. It's not just, okay, this is 13, 14, 16-year-olds. I mean, a lot of them aren't even in the libraries, but we're talking some very young kids. So I did this little experiment. I walked around the young adult section and I closed my eyes. I just went like this and I grabbed books. So I grabbed, at least a dozen, maybe 15 books. And I had a friend with me and we just sat down, we looked through them. And so it was like, okay, let's just round number, say it was 10, but at least 8 out of the 10 were just very sexually explicit material. So, I mean, this is me closing my eyes, picking the things off of the shelf. You can try it yourself. Maybe you'll get a different, maybe it was just, obviously, just per chance. But, and reading some of these things aloud, it's like they would not be allowed on network television today, So I'm saying this to say that I think it is a problem. And I do think that we can do better. I don't want to be just one of the people saying, oh yeah, we agree, and do nothing. So I wanted to pull up our board policies. And one of the things that, I feel like is missing from our library our board committees is a collection committee, and I think some of you I know are in agreement with this, that we have committee financing, we have building, but the most important thing, who we are, is our collection, So I want to say right now, there is just absolutely nothing as a board member I can do, but maybe not, because this is the under Article 3, Section 3, about the committees of the board, it lists them, but it does say the board president may appoint any member, well, okay, sorry. Next page here. Okay. The board president may create new or ad hoc committees as needed. So, I would just like to ask, our president, who I think is, very concerned about children, if he would consider, not making just an ad hoc committee to look into this, but making we need a formal committee. So that is, my plea to, and I hope if you agree with this, maybe even now you would just voice your opinion, like, that would be a good idea, because I know our board president doesn't want to just like make any move without, knowing that other people feel the same way. So anyway, I just think I'm excited that I think we as a board, we can do better. And it's not about, we're not talking about we're going to just ban all these books that have pictures of sex in them. We're not talking about that, but we're talking about a real problem when you have young children, 9, even younger, go and they're right there. They're right there. And until I did this myself and with my eyes closed and read this material, I was pretty shocked, at what I saw. So anyway, I will, I'll just leave it there because I do think this is needed. And right now, I want to recognize and thank Aaron, because since Aaron has been here for the last 3 years, he has just really helped as far as the displays, because before that time, we had a big problem, even with the displays in the library, as far as not being really appropriate, for some of them for children. And so I want to thank you, Aaron, because I know that, that under your leadership, that some of these displays, maybe people have noticed the displays have, been more appropriate. So, yeah, that's all I'm going to say. I'm just so excited with what I see with these young people coming out. And I also want you to know that you heard, and that I don't want to be just someone saying, oh, yeah, we agree, and nothing happens. So I am going to speak out again. If nothing does happen, I will voice the same opinion that we need to do better. And I think the first step is just we need an ongoing collection committee. Thank you.
Thank you, Yummy. Appreciate that. So I would offer, go ahead, Noel.
Well, I'm going to try to do this while it's quiet real quick. I just wanted to tell Diana, I don't know if she's still there or not, but Diana, you are so amazing. All that you do to help our library and to get money for our library. You are just, not only are you an incredibly hard worker, but you are so talented and so good at what you do. And we are so blessed that you are part of MCPL. And I just want to tell Diana, thank you very much.
Thank you, Noel. I'm still here.
Yay.
Thank you.
Amen to what Noel said. What I would like to follow up what Yummy said. I just want to say, as the board president, we heard you. My heart was really troubled when you showed those. And it took a lot of guts to come in here and do that, which I highly commend you for, Mallory. I really appreciate it. And it takes someone to bring it to the forefront. And I thank you for doing that. So I would say, as a board, we're gonna take this forward. So again, what Yumi said, we don't want to just hear this. It's like, oh yeah, we heard that, and not do anything about it. After hearing you, I can't go on without doing something about it. So thank you once again.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I have a comment too. I just want to, I think it's great that we highlighted the 60 years that Raytown branch has been in existence. I would give them a kind of thought, but I want to just remark that where that branch is situated is in eyesight of Raytown High School, which is where I teach.
Yep.
The demographic of families that we serve in that high school and in that community speaks to the need for the access to resources that we provide to them. And I think of the children that I speak, and they're ninth graders, but they're still children. The supports that they don't have necessarily at home and around them, or the access to information. I'm just very grateful that we have the ability to provide access to information that they need. And while I'm grateful that folks came and spoke tonight and expressed an opinion one way or the other, I also want to encourage us to be mindful that not every family has access well, not only child has access to parents at home who are guiding every step of the way. And some of the kids that we work with that are of such high needs, I'm just grateful that they have access to information that can help guide them to make good decisions in life. Sometimes those aren't the decisions I would make. It's the material maybe I wouldn't read. But I'm grateful that it's there and that we live in a place in a kind of democracy that allows us to provide access to information for all. I think of my two young granddaughters, the 4 sons that I've raised, and at what points we decided it was time and appropriate to share information with them. And I recognize that those were my decisions, my husband's decisions. Those are my son's decisions for his granddaughters. It's a different world for some younger families than it was when I was younger. But to have access to those resources is important, and to let families make those decisions and to monitor their children's movements in spaces where they have access to information that may be questionable is those families' decisions too. And so I just want to express, I think it's great that we have resources available, because not everybody can get out and go purchase materials that they need. And not every family has the ability to be there to provide that information to kids. And sometimes kids need to be able to find things on their own when they don't have support. So I just think it's worth mentioning that too, and keeping that in mind as we think about how much we keep information that our collection holds.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? All right. Ask for a motion to adjourn. Thank you. I have a second.
Second.